Hello, welcome to Cook with Benedicta in Tastebudzng Kitchen. Today I'm going to be meal prepping for a client. Remember, this is Tastebudzng and here we cook on a daily for our clients because we are a food company based here in Lagos. On our menu today, I'm going to be preparing creamy seafood pasta, but I'm going to be cooking it in separate bowls as requested by my client. So today I'm going to be using olive oil. This is to assist the butter in searing the onions to prevent the onions from burning. The last thing you want to do is to get your garlic or your chopped onions burned. So a bit of olive oil, some butter in searing the finely chopped onions and garlic. You're going to allow this to simmer on very low heat for about 3 to 5 minutes, depending on the intensity of your heat. I always like to add a bit of salt or salt to taste, depending on your preference. But remember, today I am cooking for a client, so I have to be precise with every single ingredient that I'm using, and I am actually preparing this to suit the taste buds of my client. So I'm going to be using salt in moderation. Remember, you have to turn down the heat of your gas stove at this point. You do not want your onions or chopped garlic to get burnt. Now I've just added my sliced calamaris. That is the white vertically striped things you can see in the pan right now. Those are my fresh calamaris. So I just added it to the mix of onion, garlic, butter, and oil. And I'm going to allow this to simmer for a bit. I am going to be adding all my seafood mix in order of texture. The calamaris are tougher than the fish and the shrimps. They're tougher than the mushrooms. So after I have added my calamaris, I'm going to be adding my mushrooms like you've seen. And after the addition of the mushrooms, I'm going to be tossing in my prawns. Remember, I said I am going to be putting in all my seafood mix in the order of strength in texture. At this point, I like to introduce my crackled black pepper. I love the pepper mix to sear with all the seafood. I wouldn't want our seafood to be cooked without a bit of heat. Remember, you can also choose to add red chili pepper flakes, but in today's recipe I'm just using crackled black peppercorn. Now it is time to add a fish fillet or fish fillet. Remember, because the fish is very tender, you want to put it as the last addition, because you don't want your fish fillet breaking up in tiny bits. That will really make your sauce look a bit messy and not too good. So remember, once your fish fillet is tossed into your pan, you have to stir gently. And that means you're halfway done through your cooking. At this point, you're going to get ready to introduce your cooking cream on a very low temperature. Remember to turn down the temperature of your cooking hob at this point. Last but not the least, remember to select a tough cut of fish fillet when selecting fish for your creamy seafood sauce. We are all set to introduce our cooking cream into the mix. So using 500 mils of cooking cream, that is half a liter of cooking cream, we are going to be introducing this into our sauce. That reminds me, today I am preparing a 2.5 liter worth of creamy seafood mix. 2.5 liters or 2,500 mils worth of creamy seafood mix. So using 500 mils of heavy cream or cooking cream will suffice for today's cooking. 2.5 liters is the same as 2.5 quarts. Today we're going to be cooking our pasta al dente. That means firm when beaten. You do not want to have soggy pasta. Sorry, I omitted the phase where I boiled it in hot water for about 5 minutes and I poured it into my strainer and I ran it under cold tap water. And this is me bringing it back to the pot in order for me to add a bit of salt, a bit of cheese as requested by my client, and a bit of chopped celery, which you are going to be seeing much later. It is time for me to top up my sauce with a bit of corn flour mix. Now remember, this part is optional. If you like your creamy seafood mix to be thick, you can add a bit of corn flour mixed in water, but this is absolutely not necessary. If you do not like your seafood sauce thick, you can omit this phase. Now it is time to go into that long-aged argument. All you seafood lovers that will never add cheese to your seafood mix, well, I've got a bit of a surprise for you today. My client here requested that he wanted the famous Parmesan cheese in his seafood mix. I know there is a long old debate about not including cheese in seafood because of the strong, almost pungent flavor of cheeses. We are expected not to add cheese in seafood sauces or seafood dishes, but I tell you what, I have eaten seafood sauce with cheese and I've eaten it without cheese, and the both taste great. I'm sorry, but I couldn't really tell the difference. Blame it on my palate or blame it on my love for cheese. I love Parmesan cheese in everything and anything. So when I got this request from my client that she wanted Parmesan cheese in her seafood mix, I was happy to oblige her. So please hold your horses, all you seafood lovers that will never love cheese in your seafood creamy mix. So this is an exception. I am tossing in my grated Parmesan cheese and I'm following it up with my chopped celery. Now remember, if you do not want to put celery, you can put parsley in your sauce. This is a time to top it up with our white wine. Dry white wine is always better for cooking white sauces. Never use the sweetened wine or never use a bottle of wine that isn't old and dry. It wouldn't give you the flavor that you want. And now I'm topping it up with a bit more black pepper because I love the flavor of black pepper and it goes perfectly well with this sauce. I'm also going to be topping up my pasta with the Parmesan cheese, freshly grated Parmesan cheese. It is always best to grate your Parmesan cheese just before adding it to your food. I understand that we have the grated one sold in the grocery store, but it's never as nice as grating your own Parmesan cheese just before adding it to your food. So I'm also going to be adding a bit of my celery to my pasta. Remember, if you do not have celery, you can top it up with ever delicious parsley leaves. But on today's recipe, I'm just using chopped celery for the sauce and chopped celery for my pasta. Remember, everything at this point has to be on very low temperature. Turn down your gas mark to 1 or gas mark temperature 2 so you don't overcook your cream or overcook your cheese or overcook your seafood. It is always best to do these additions on very low heat. Remember, you also don't want to lose the flavor of your white wine. Our food is all ready, and it is time to bring out my fork and do the tasting. Don't worry, I already included my portion for the tasty in the cooking, so I am not interfering with the portion that goes into the 2.5 liter bowl or the 2.5 liter quarts. So now it is time to dig in and have a good taste of this yummy, delicious, creamy, garlicky, cheesy seafood mix. Time to eat the calamari. Nice. The calamari is tender at the same time when it's chewy. That's how I like my calamaris. Tender and chewy. Pasta al dente, firm to the teeth. Never let your pasta be soggy. Oh, this is creamy and cheesy. Time to taste the fish. I seasoned this fish actually with salt before introducing it to the sauce. Nice, just the way I expected it. And the mushrooms, nice. And I'm saving the best for the last. The prawns. Taste heavenly. Prawns always taste so good in creamy sauces. Well, that is my opinion. What do you think? Now, this brings us to an end of today's cooking session. Now, you tell me how best you love to enjoy your seafood mix. Do you like it in a creamy white sauce, or do you like it in a tomato sauce, or you just like to eat it as a standalone meal? Do tell me in the comment section how best you like to enjoy your seafood mix, and what other type of herbs that you would rather use in garnishing your creamy seafood mix. So thank you all for watching, and remember to subscribe to my YouTube channel.